who is our partner airline in the US, so that if you land in the US, you know you're going to get a connection to wherever you are going. And also for the Americans who may be wanting to come to Kenya, if they land in Nairobi and they want connecting flights, have we, as Kenya Airways, entered into strategic partnership, say with Rwanda Air or any other organizations, so as to make everything to be effortless? And more important is for KQ to consider using this flight for cargo, because I understand cargo is a big component of this international trade. And in my view, those are the challenges. But if the only thing Kenya is celebrating about is having a direct flight from Nairobi to New York, and it occupies media space for 1 week, I think there's a shortage of successes in Kenya. That just a single flight like this, you've got the media consumed, you've got top public servants consumed, you've got the president and the deputy president, everybody. To the extent that it's become a laughing stock. I saw a message on Twitter that one of those flights had hardly 45 passengers going to, or rather coming from, I think, coming from the US or rather going there. And a matatu to Githurai would fill that in a space of 10 seconds. So that would be the challenge, whether or not it's going to be sustainable, both in the short term and in the long term, and whether or not the Kenyan government now will breathe on the neck of KLM and Air France to ensure that they support. And again, you would understand, KLM and Air France would be unhappy if Kenyans are going straight from Nairobi to New York, and in the past they would go through maybe Amsterdam or Paris or London. The amount of money Kenyans would spend in those three capitals is quite a lot. So at this stage, they may not support Kenya Airways, one would understand. But we need to push our national interest, and even if it means recalling a number of bilaterals, let's do that.
Are you excited, Mark, about this direct new flights?
I am. First, Ethiopia did this before us, okay? And if you've ever been to the airport in Addis, it's nothing to write home about. To that extent, I am blasé about it. I am on the edge. However, there is something that is very exciting for me. I am not an aviation expert, but I spend all my time in communication. The one thing that I will commend the government, Brand Kenya, whoever was involved, is the amount of space we took on CNN in the week of this flight. That was a work of art. I think we went all out. I think every show on Quest Means Business had a feature about Kenya. They talked about Kenyan innovation. They talked about Kenyan tourism. They talked about this particular flight. They talked about the economy. There was an interview with the president. Now, let me tell you, if there was something that was excellent, that was very, very, very excellent. And that's the kind of thing that this country needs to do consistently. Now, if this flight then afforded us that opportunity and that kind of possibility of publicity, then definitely I'm very excited about this flight. I'm excited to the extent that if it serves, if only but an icon, to open the eyes of the world to the opportunities that reside with the people and the nation and the land of Kenya, then for sure, when there was a poll that was held and Kenya came second to Nigeria in an international poll as to who would be the leading economy in Africa in the next 20 years, that was amazing. And to me, Kenya won that because Nigerians are 100 and something million. Kenyans are only 44 million. And we managed to come number 2. That is amazing. The amount of airtime that we were given, trust me, those 45 passengers that were lacking, that were there, and the others that were lacking, it was made up for in that advertisement. But I'd like to give a word of caution to my good friend Dismas and tell him that Matatu economics and Matatu logistics are very, very different from aircraft and international travel. We cannot compare the two because a Matatu in Githurai, well, let's just say,
all right. But you know, Ben, it's the same logic. You are transporting passengers from one point. Believe me, the fellas who run Matatu business, they know the kind of tires to have in that vehicle. Others even have got tablets. They give people pens. They give people tea. The same thing which is happening in airlines. Yeah, they give them Wi-Fi. Yeah, I mean, you don't use Matatus, but people are given tea. If you use Buruburu, people are given pens. Now, if you are going to launch Kenya Airways from Nairobi to New York, and you've not done all your sensitivity analysis, there's a very high chance that in 2 years' time, you're going to recall the routes. So what happens after you've gotten all these international media saying, well, you've got these routes, and then you say, because it's not sustainable, now we are going to West Africa.
It's fine. Routes become unsustainable all the time, but let's not compare Githurai matatus to a direct flight, because
it's
a lot of the time...
It's a meme, but it has a point. Kipchumba, do you think it's sustainable?
Just like any other business, on the onset of it, you might not get the return on investment immediately, but we need to look at it. Perpetual optimism is the underlying factor in any business. But what I have to ask myself is that there is something we must call out KQ for. They have their services, I will not want to call it poor services, but they do not have the best in the region. Even if today you as a person were to travel outside Kenya, I will not go with Kenya Airways because of the service they render and the courtesy, the lack of courtesy the people who are serving people there do offer. You have all they need to get their act together. If we are going to the international...
a lot of work to do.
Yes, if we are going to the international market, let us go to the international market with international standards. You go there, people have attitude from here to the end of the plane. For who? The other thing we must ask ourselves is this. Anything that takes Kenya to the global world is a plus for us, whether we will do the economics or not. So long as Kenya is being discussed with the big boys in the world is a plus. But coming to now, whether we will sustain it or not, depends on the strategy that will be adopted by those who are tasked with this task. Because we must now ask ourselves, are we going to have partnership with the Rwandese people, with the people in Dar es Salaam, so that all those passengers, instead of flying to Addis to connect to JFK, they come to Nairobi to connect. And that needs to, there are a lot of things, there are a lot of bilateral talks that need to be commenced. Yeah. And also when you are talking about JFK, we know, and it is a common knowledge in the aviation industry, that you must talk to the people in the other end so that you have flights which can connect your passengers for ease travel. Let's talk about a passenger who will be leaving New York, heading to, let's say, Delaware, or heading to the farthest states in the UK, in the USA. How will they move? Because you might not want to bring passengers, all passengers to JF Kennedy, and then from there, they can't move. You know, the main thing of travel is for personal expedience. If I'll be trying to be a patriot and using KQ, and I end up being stranded in JF Kennedy for like 5 or 7 hours, why don't I just go the normal route, Amsterdam to Heathrow, and I do my businesses with ease? Right. The main thing is how we will do business with ease.
All right. All right, thank you, gentlemen. Let's leave it there. It is, of course, we shall continue to follow up on that direct daily flights from JKI to New York, and how that will continue to pan out. Thank you, gentlemen, for